This is Ranking of Cage Part 1. Here with me, Colton, Scott, and Josh. So first things first, the synopsis from Just Watch. So no sooner does Italian-American widow Loretta accept a marriage proposal from her Doddlish boyfriend Johnny, then she finds herself falling for his younger brother Ronnie. She tries to resist, but Ronnie lost his hand in an accident, and he blames on his brother, and he has no scruples about aggressively pursuing her while Johnny is out of the country. As Loretta falls deeper in love, she comes to learn that she's not the only one in her family with a secret romance. So this movie's from 1987, and fun fact. Cher won an Oscar for this movie.
Wow.
He got multiple awards.
Yeah, I stumbled into the Cher won the Best Actress Oscar for this.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Was that a good decision or the greatest decision?
I can't say because I don't know the movies she was up against.
Well, it was 1999?
87.
1987. Probably it's like Batteries Not Included. And what is it? 1987. City Slickers 2, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, not very good. Not very good. There wasn't much of competition. Sorry to say.
So the start of the movie, when I feel like it establishes the tropes of Italian American life at the time.
Mamma mia.
You got they're out to dinner, and you get somebody throwing a drink on their date. I assume that's just what you did in the 80s. Have you ever seen anybody actually throw a drink on somebody live in person?
Probably, but not to the point where it was anything that was out of the ordinary given the situation.
I don't think I've ever seen that in actuality.
I haven't either. I don't know if people have ever or still do that, or if that's just exclusively a movie trope.
Had drinks thrown at me. Does that count?
Yeah, that would count.
Yeah, okay. That's happened to me.
So then you have they go to a guy, and he says he's worried about proposing by getting on his knee because he's worried about ruining his suit, which just seems very
Is it like a commentary that he's really cheap basically, and he's only concerned about his material? He's
right.
Oh, my suit, don't get my suit dirty.
I think so.
I want to spend my life with you, but don't get my suit dirty.
Right.
Kind of an asshole.
Yeah, it's also the 1980s in New York, and everyone is Italian.
Right.
From what you see in this movie.
Yep.
So
Cher's character literally walking him step by step on how to do a proper proposal.
And then you kind of get to the premise here where Loretta is set to marry Johnny, and I believe they set a date a month out. And then they celebrate by having champagne with sugar cubes in it. Were those sugar cubes? Did you notice they were dropping something into the champagne?
I noticed they were dropping something in the champagne, but I didn't catch what they were actually dropping in it.
I thought it was sugar cubes.
It
I don't
might
know
be.
what else could it have been. But then
I don't know.
why did your champagne doesn't need sugar cubes?
Some kind of ice cube.
Oh, could it have been an ice cube?
Something. I don't know.
I don't know. It seemed like it increased the carbonation of the drink, when it drops up, and then it almost looked like they were dropping Alka-Seltzer in it because of the increase of bubbles. But
interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Added something to the drink, but so they're gonna be married. That's kind of the setup here, and then Johnny has to leave to Sicily where his mother is deathly sick. So he leaves for Sicily. And he wants Loretta to inform his brother of their marriage. So that kind of leads to where she has to go and inform the brother. And she's never met the brother, and he hasn't talked to his brother in a long time. And it's not explained why, I don't believe.
Not at the time.
Yeah. So then Loretta shows up to the bakery where Johnny's brother, where Ronnie works at. And this is where we meet Nicolas Cage, who plays the role of Ronnie. And this, I think, is the best scene in the movie for me, where you meet Ronnie at the bakery, and he's just there baking bread, and she shows up. And then when she figures out who she is, he has like a classic Nicolas Cage flip out. He says, "Bring me the knife. I'm going to cut my throat." um, and then you see that his hand is like cut off, and then you figure out his hand was cut off by a bread slicer, and he blames his brother because he said his brother tried to talk to him and it distracted him, and then he cut his hand off in a bread slicer.
It was the most absurd reasoning.
So yeah, that's what I thought too. It's absolutely asinine. Like, yeah, he talked to me and distracted me, and I lost my hand on a bread slicer.
Oh, geez, it's your brother's fault for you not paying attention.
Yeah. But just that there's not like a more
nothing more developed than that.
No, just he distracted me. And then one of the ladies like at the bakery shop after like stands there and says he could never love anybody since he lost his hand and his girl.
Oh,
despite the fact that she's in love with him.
Right.
Well, I don't. Is she at that point?
I believe that character explicitly says like it's like he could like never see how I feel about him or something like that.
The other character in the bakery.
Yeah, the other bread girl.
Well, it turns out everyone is in love with Ronnie. I mean,
dude, he's like an edgy, angsty 80s boy. What's not to love?
Including Ronnie is in love with Ronnie.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like the movie, it almost feels like not a lot happens until you get to this point. Like if you really look at what happens in the movie,
it's pretty slow.
Yeah, and then you get here and we find Johnny, and then nearly immediately after this, we go to like a sex scene of Loretta and Ronnie, which felt like it just happened all of a sudden. Like they just met at the bakery, and then like within like a couple minutes of scenes, we were there. Which it felt like they didn't. It just felt like they didn't like do anything. They're just like, yeah, now they're in love. Here we go. I don't know. Did you guys feel like it was like rushed?
I'm not sure that I would say rushed. I did feel like it was disjointed. Yeah, it was like, why do we care about these people and what's happening?
Well, and what's the premise for their relationship? It really seems like just
it's basically forbidden love. It's like your brother. It's like your brother's woman.
Like that's it though. Like that's you're just supposed to buy it off that.
But alone? It's also like Cher's character learning how to love.
I mean that's a fair point. Just because earlier in the movie, when Cher was talking with her mother, because Cher was explicitly, the mother specifically asked her, it's like, do you love him? And Cher's like, no. Mom's like, good. Love only leads to bad things.
Right. There's that whole
it's just like cheese ball all day. And it's like everyone's kind of happy in the end, and it's really cute, and everybody is, things are whatever. And I feel like it's a very gentle journey, from A to B. And right. For me, it's not really my kind of movie.
Well, I guess in the beginning of the movie, it kind of does set up Johnny as like I don't know, you kind of get the vibe that she does, like they're not in love almost, is maybe what it's trying to portray.
Right. Like they're just going through the motions.
Yeah. I guess I wish maybe it did more of that to kind of set up the rest of it.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch this movie all the time when I was a kid. My family loved this movie. And the best parts were the Italian family. That was the best part. And I kind of didn't even realize, I was so young. I didn't even realize until you guys brought it up again. I was like, oh yeah, he is in that movie. And then I recently watched it, and it was bad. It had its cute moments, but I mean, for me, I'm gonna put it. I
We
can't.
still got a lot of the
Whoa,
movie to go before we rank it.
we're not done with the movie yet.
All right, guys, keep on going, guys.
So what we're getting is Josh hates it so much he wants to rush this in order to have it done and over with.
I don't mean to rush it. I just
after the sex scene, it's been proven they're in love. Well, never. Hold up here. I'm getting ahead of myself. After that, we get a scene at night where you get multiple characters looking at the moon, and they became moonstruck. So this is the premise for their relationship, because we didn't see anything else. So we must assume that when they get hit by that special moon, they get moonstruck. And now it's by the moon they're in love.
Yep.
And
amore.
Because from there, that's it. They're in love. And then that we get to the scene with the family, and Johnny's going to be coming back soon. And she comes and she's like, Johnny's coming back. And then Ronnie's there, and Ronnie's like, no, I love her. And she's like, we're not getting married. And then Ronnie and Loretta are together, and then it's a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably drink champagne again.
They did at the end after Ronnie proposed, and they still were dropping things in their champagne. So,
yeah, I guess overall there's not a lot of plot points in the movie. It really is like, if you look at it, there's like 6 plot points, and then you're through it.
I feel like my problem with this movie is like, other than just the fact that it was dull. I mean, like, you have like a couple different side plots, like one of them being like, the dad cheating, Loretta's dad cheating on his wife.
Right.
And then like, they end up meeting at the opera, and Loretta sees that, which, draws a very good parallel, like father, like daughter.
Right.
But
that doesn't change anything, right? It just shows us the parallel, but it just continues on its course.
Effectively, because the whole thing is like at the end of the movie at breakfast, the wife's just like, hey, stop that. And Loretta's dad's like, okay.
Right. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet on the flip side, and then like any opportunity there was for interesting drama, like Ronnie's brother coming back from his mother's place, or after his mother inexplicably recovers from what's supposed to be a near-death illness, he just breaks up with his fiance, just breaks up with Loretta because I guess mom's healthy, so we don't need to be together anymore. Which just completely removes any and all dramatic tension that could have been had in this movie. And then Ronnie and Loretta get married after a grand total of 2 days of knowing each other.
It just goes to show that love is not something that you can control.
I think if this movie shows anything, that love is stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess when I look at the story of the movie, I feel like watching the movie is a better experience than looking at the story of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing, but I don't think watching it wasn't a bad experience for me. I think the movie outperforms its plotline. There's some occasional parts that are kind of entertaining, and then just some weird shit it does. You're like, what is going on here? It's just some in the Nicolas Cage bakery scene. I will say I like that scene. I like Nicolas Cage at the bakery talking about how he cut his hand in a bread slicer.
Yep. Every line of dialogue in that scene is either whispered or screamed. Classic Cage.
Yeah. So, Josh, you seem to have a pretty strong feeling on this movie. What did you want to give your ranking, your solo ranking for this movie?
I'll give it an E.
Okay.
The only reason I don't give it an F is because because it has a couple cute moments, and I watched it when I was a kid. It's the only reason I give it a not an F.
I gotcha. Kudra?
I don't know. I'm a little torn. It's low. It's either a D or an E for me as well. I might have to go E. I might have to agree with Josh. I mean,
Wow.
the movie's not.
E's?
I wouldn't say the movie's like bad, but it's just boring to watch. I mean, the movie. I watched this movie. Like, I was having some trouble falling asleep. I think it was like Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning,
Uh-huh.
and so I decided, like, hey, I'll watch this movie. 30 minutes of watching this movie.
Will you write out?
Yeah, like tell you what, if you need a cure for insomnia, watch this movie.
Another cure for insomnia, Moonstruck. Yeah. So what do you think, Colton?
I don't think it was an E. I didn't not enjoy watching it. I think my solo ranking is actually a C.
That's probably fair. I mean, it won awards, right?
It won awards. Yeah, I didn't.
And it was really popular. People loved it. Right? It was popular in its time. Not that really counts for anything. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so now let's place this in our overall ranking of Cage, which I would like to...
Oh, maybe before we get into that, though, we probably should mention that Quinn did give us a ranking of this movie before the podcast, and he rated it a C.
Oh, Quinn also rated it a C.
Quinn also rated it a C. So
we got 2 C's.
Wow. 2 people with terrible taste.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Attack.
Yeah. Shots fired. So we have to agree on a rating now?
Yep. So I have our official ranking of Cage list here. We have Moonstruck. So you guys put it at an E. I put it at a C. We got 2 C's, 2 E's.
Split the difference, put it at a D.
A D. I think I could agree to a D. I think I would agree putting it there. Are you guys agreeable to a D?
I think we're unanimous in that vote.
All right. We are unanimous that the overall ranking of Moonstruck is a D.